Okay, so now we're live. So if you guys want to go ahead and start.
All right. How are you guys doing today?
Well, not too
Good.
bad.
All right. You guys ready to discuss a new contract?
Yeah.
I think so, yep.
All right. Let's start off. What are you looking to get in this new contract?
Basically in this new contract, we'd like a few different things to happen. We'd like to have a fully paid sabbatical policy. Um, we don't want the class sizes to exceed over 28 students. And we'd like a little bit more adequate materials and supplies as well.
All right.
And those are things we'd like to have, but things that we must have though are like an increase in pay and our premiums on our insurance. We need, and to begin off, we really need a 1-year contract is what we really need from the beginning. I think that's something that you guys probably should be aware of, so you guys can think of it in that term too, that it's only going to be 1 year.
Yeah.
All right, so you said an increase in pay, premiums on contracts, and then contracts on 1 years.
Yeah, a premium on the insurance. We need more help on that, and then it can only be a 1-year contract. Yeah, that's what our main goals are. And the other things that we'd like to have, but we understand that there's going to have to be some give and take within the negotiations.
All right. We may be able to do some of that, but on other things like our budget is already being cut to 3% from last year, so it may be difficult to increase pay or and the health insurance premiums in the next 3 years are expected to be huge, which is another big problem.
And we're taking up like a chunk out of our own salary so you guys can get those premiums.
You're already doing that?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I did some numbers on our end, and I'm sure they're your numbers too, but like 19 of the there was 19 retirees, isn't that correct?
Yeah,
I don't remember the exact number, but there were quite a few that were retiring, yes.
And I mean, those were a lot of seniors, so they were making a lot of money. And I figured in if we just hired like new teachers, I figured that would help with the enthusiasm. I know our numbers have been struggling as a school on test scores and things, and if we hired new teachers just like out of college, maybe they'd be more gung ho and wanting to teach more and be more involved. And
Now
if
we
we
tried to implement something like that now, but this is where people look at us as less credibility wise because of that reason. Because we are hiring those teachers and we don't have other people, on our roster that have a set experience, or I guess a greater experience and broader horizon when it comes to this field.
So you're not wanting to hire new teachers, is what you're thinking?
We do, but we need to even it out with teachers that also have, adequate like skills behind them and have been through the job.
yeah,
Can't just put a whole bunch of new teachers in there all at once and expect it to run fluently.
Right, that makes sense.
So what are you thinking? Just evenly out. So I guess we got rid of 19 teachers. Are you guys thinking about putting them all back in there, or did you want to put a heavier workload on us? What were you thinking?
All right. Well, if we cut the lunch and prep time from 60 minutes to 30 minutes, you'll be able to teach one more class a day. That way, your class loads won't be as big. There'll be less people in each classroom, so that may help a little bit.
Okay. I was trying to find the number of class. classes we have now, and if we added 130, because are you planning on keeping the same number of teachers?
Yeah, I think we're trying to keep 139 teachers. So hopefully we'll replace the 19 that are leaving with 19 new teachers, but they won't be as high up on the step level, so their salaries will be much lower than what we paid last year.
Right. Um, I just did some numbers that with if we just drop 9 teachers, I know that we wanted to keep the class sizes at 28, but if we drop those 9 teachers, it would only go up to 31 or 32 per class, and that's without you guys' change to the lunch prep time thing. So I mean, then it would drop it back down again. Do you guys think that's an okay idea, that having 9 less teachers but adding that prep time to keep the same amount of students, or what's your opinions on that?
Yeah, I think that would work.
There would still need to be some time taken off of the lunch though, because it
Right, yeah,
is.
I think we could combine there. Yeah, having our time off of lunch, but also dropping some teachers.
So like a combination of the two ideas.
Not dropping too many teachers, but some.
Yeah, that would work. It'll help us stay within the budget, which is a big concern.
Right. And with the 15 of those 19 being this in the senior level, I mean, even if we hire back, I don't think you'll hire 15 of the 19 back at senior level, so that'll save you money too.
Yeah.
We'd already put in that cost into calculation for this year's budget too, of those teachers not being there.
Yeah.
We actually averaged them out at being at level 7 on the budget list, or I'm not budget list, on the payment plan for the school.
The ones you're putting back in are going to average the 7?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I put them in as one, as like level ones, and I understand that we can't just put all those in there. I was just trying to put a number up there,
Yeah.
but
I just kind of put that in there as an average just to have
yeah,
something to base thing off of.
right. Because with my average with the first ones, even if you kept if you kept all the teachers and put them in at level ones, then you would have little under 6 million, and last year's was at 6,360,000, I think, or something like that. So I mean, you're saving quite a bit of money there. But if you put them at level 7s, I mean, that's going to be a little more, I'm sure. You would only be saving like half that much. So you'd be saving like 180,000, even if they average this level 7. Do you think if you were saving that much, do you think you could increase our wages there because you're saving 180,000?
No, because the premium costs are going up for us, like we had discussed before.
I mean, would you rather have increased pay or the increased health premiums? Because I mean, if you take increased pay, then we would have to decrease the health premiums. You'd have to take more of that.
So we're going to have less teachers but be paid less on premium or as well? we're going to have to work harder and then get less, I guess is what you're saying.
But you'll also get a pay increase.
And you're going to have the benefits
What benefits?
of the premium. I mean, that comes into a contract of like insurance and whatnot.
What's the percentage of the pay increase? What exactly would the pay increase be?
Good question.
What specifically were you trying to find from this deal?
As the deal in whole,
Like, yes, your annual salary. What were you expecting?
well, my numbers kind of went to shit because of the not having the first level teachers going back in, I guess. But with first level teachers and then getting 9 less people, if we had I know it's way out there, but if we had a 10% increase, we would still be under our budget from last year of how much teachers were paid
I mean,
by almost
The 10%.
$90,000.
that
Teachers only get a 2% increase from their payment plans from year to year, and you're wanting 10%.
No, I'm just saying that's the 10% is what I calculated, and that's still underneath.
that would have been fine had the classroom performance not been so poor. So unfortunately, we can't hire level 1 teachers with little experience. We need someone with more experience who can actually increase classroom performance.
Right. So, at 180,000.
And I'm sure you know, I mean, if you ran a lot of numbers and whatnot, but other schools in the area, we actually pay about 5 to 7% higher than any other starting pay, and they all with a 2% increase each year if they have a bachelor's, which we still give individuals some if they don't have a bachelor's.
And I think that's something where I like that if you have a better education, then obviously you need to pay more, but maybe how you said, even if they're not bachelors, how they're still getting increases. Maybe that's something we can look at and take off, but then increase for those that are producing well, like if the scores are well.
As in similar to the surveys that they do here at Northwest.
Okay, I calculated with your hiring level 7s as new teachers, just an average. I know we'll have new ones that are lower and new ones that are higher. But if we did that and we got a 5% increase, we'd be under the previous one by over almost 200,000. I think that's pretty reasonable.
And that was with how many teachers?
With 9 less teachers, because we're gonna have the lunch period as a class period, half of the lunch period. So we'll still have our class sizes down, but with 9 less teachers. Isn't that what we discussed earlier? I think, I don't know,
Yeah.
if we went backwards.
Yeah.
It is.
I mean, I think that would work. Since you only want a 1-year contract,
Right, we're going to have to discuss this again next year, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
And hopefully we have more funds next year, and this won't be as difficult.
Well, I think that year's also going to give us a lot of, I guess, if this all goes well and we hire the right teachers, credibility to our, school. So we're most likely going to get better funded
Right.
for
That's
the next
what
coming
I
year.
think hiring those level sevens and us taking not as much a raise this time, but taking it and making it better for the students, because that's really what the school's about, not about us.
yeah. So are we settled on that?
Yeah,
That
I think that works.
All right. What else do you have concerns with?
can we just go over what we've did, like what we've settled on so far, so I can make sure that I'm straight on all that?
We decided on hiring 9 less teachers, and then we're hiring the new teachers at level 7s. You guys will receive a 5% pay increase, and the prep and lunchtime will be cut from 60 minutes to 30 minutes. And I think that's everything. And it's a 1-year contract instead of, was it 2 or 3 before?
Did you guys have any things that you were thinking about? You mentioned the lunch prep time, but anything else that you guys were really focused on for us for the next year?
I mean, our main concerns are really just staying within the budget and increasing classroom performance. But I mean, if we're hiring level 7s, then it should be no problem. And as you said, with the pay increase and hiring less teachers, it will be lower than last year's budget, which is good.
Right. Yeah, because with two, I mean, it reduced the budget for at least our salary. I don't know how everything else is looking on your end for like updates on things or wear and tear on school supplies, but at least our budget for the salaries is under 200,000, almost. So I mean, 180 plus at least. So
Yeah, that'll help tremendously. So now
I
that we
think I think Harrison had something about sabbatical policy. Do you
Yeah,
have more on
to
that?
bring that up. Yeah, so basically, we'd like to have a fully paid sabbatical policy. It's something that a lot of, like most schools have moved to now, so it's kind of commonplace, and I think that that's something that um, the teachers would like to have implemented at the school. What do
Are
you
you
guys?
guys are you guys familiar with the sabbatical policies?
I am slightly, but could you go ahead and explain it to me real quick?
What the sabbatical policies are is where they a teacher is paid on leave to go study and get more educated about certain things to help them within their teaching abilities. So they
All right.
go elsewhere and then learn more and then come back.
All right. So considering we're going to be on a 1-year contract and we're just going to be starting that out, I would actually go against any fully paid sabbatical policy. I believe that'd pretty much just be a waste of money since we're all hiring new teachers, or I mean, we're hiring, all those new teachers.
Well, they do. Sabbatical policies do help productivity in the classroom, which is something that you guys were looking for as well on your end, was improvement on the student scores. They also prevent classroom turnover as well. So yeah, I mean, it might be a little bit more, but on the financial end, but I do think that as far as performance-wise, it would be a benefit for both sides.
Now, how does that place on contract-wise?
Could you restate that? Or are you cutting it out on my end?
How are you wanting to place that contract-wise? Is that just going to be embedded in contracts, or what were you wanting to do with that?
I mean, I think that could go with kind of the same way that we have to do procedures on when there's problems and things. How it has to go from the next level up from us, so the principals, and then goes to superintendent and then the school board. I'd say definitely would have. You couldn't just say, "Hey, I'm going to do this," and then just go. You'd have to have it.
So then could we just go ahead and say we'll discuss the full sabbatical policy next year after we find out how our teachers are doing, the ones that we just hired?
I mean, we can, but the longer we put it off, the longer that you're going to see it's going to be until you get. I mean, it's a possibility. I guess we could, but you're
But we
not
would
going to
also
see
gain a
increase.
surplus of budget of not having to do that as well for this upcoming year, to where we would have the money to do it the year after.
And that may not even be a concern if our classroom performance gets way better. Then, yeah.
I think it's always good to continue improving, but I mean, I understand your point. If it gets better, then more funds come in. I think that would be even a better reason to have the sabbaticals. If we have additional funds, then we can send them. But I mean, since you guys have kind of, I mean, it's up to Harrison because this was his big issue, but I guess he can talk to you about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea. I mean, it's not a horrible idea if we push it back. But I'm kind of like Andrew. It'd be nice to kind of address this issue now. But yeah, I don't know.
I mean, we realize that it is an important issue and it has its benefits, but just at the current time, it's just not applicable. It's definitely will be a hot topic for discussion in the next year when we renegotiate the contract.
All right. If we can just like keep talking about it at your school board meetings and things, I think just introducing the idea so next year we don't say, well, maybe we can do it next contract. If we can introduce it in those meetings and get the idea out there, and maybe some of the school board members can research on it and see actually how helpful it really is and worth the money.
Yeah, we can do that, no problem.
Another thing was the materials and supplies in the classroom. The teachers are having to pay a lot for those things. I didn't know, since we saved some on the salary cap, if we could give each teacher. I know in other schools there is like a $200 per teacher, and that really doesn't buy much, but at least it's something. $200 for supplies in the classroom. They can't use it for anything outside the classroom, but that's something inside the classroom. I didn't know if you guys really thought anything about that.
Now, what kind of supplies are you referring to specifically?
Like the literature teachers, they make binders and things for projects. Math teachers, it's like rulers from wear and tear from their rulers in their classroom. They don't really have the budget to buy new of those, and so they've put it upon themselves, and those are some of the complaints coming in.
Now, have you considered like splitting up all the things needed and having the students kind of buy separate things to help out? Because I remember when I was a kid, we would buy supplies and bring them to school for the teachers. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I remember doing that in elementary school, but not within the high school where we are, in the middle
Yeah.
school where we were. I mean, I remember doing that in elementary, and that really worked out right. I like that idea, but I mean, it's not like you're in that classroom the whole day. You're in 7 classrooms if you made people buy items for 7 rooms. I think that's getting a little steep for public education. Maybe if we were private, maybe, but then I don't think we're having as many issues on the budget either. But
How much were you trying to get for these supplies?
I just threw out a number of 200, and if we did that for 130 teachers, because we're hiring that 9 less, that would be 26,000, which in the long run really isn't that much, and with the $10 billion or the $6 billion that we have. 6 million that we
Okay.
have.
Hmm.
All right, what we'd probably have to do here for the adequate materials, just so we wouldn't have to buy multiple of these items, we'd have to go to each department and talk to the department chairs or the heads and see what items they need themselves and have them put in an order and take inventory that way and see how much money we need or see how much it's going to cost us. Because there's a lot of things that you guys might consider adequate and a lot of things that we don't consider adequate.
Okay. So you guys will put yourself in and contact the teachers then?
Yep.
Or do you want to have them write it down, or what's the plan on that?
Yeah, just pretty much do like a little backlog, a little inventory of anything that you guys use, how often you use it, as in like chalk, dry erase markers, how quick you go through them, so on and so forth. And then, yeah, tally it up and we'll place an order through a distributor and so we can get it at a cheaper price and whatnot as well.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I like that idea. That definitely sounds
Agreed.
economical. Are you guys still doing good on the budget, or how's that looking?
Uh, I think a lot of that will depend on how much supplies will you will actually need. I mean, but we should be close.
I know that other schools are doing fundraisers and things, and they don't add that much, but and then asking others. I know we can't get very much, but didn't know if you guys had any ideas that you wanted the school maybe to fundraise to help out with those low funds this year, or what? If you had thought even about that.
I mean, I feel like that just plays along with it being a school. That's just something that every school kind of has to do for itself. Like I know my high school and my middle school supported its own football and track program through doing booster club promotions and whatnot.
And I think we're doing some of that too. Yeah, I mean that was in the budget last year. That
That's why
boosters.
I'm trying not to add anything extra or take
Okay.
away.
And I'm sure they appreciate that. You have anything else, Harrison?
I think that's everything that I have on my end. Can you think of anything else?
I mean, there was little things. It didn't really have to do with the money fact. Actually, it was more of like problems within the school. There's the long process of actually getting your problems fixed, of going to your upper and then them having to decide whether it really is that big a deal or not. And some of the issues were that big. I was wondering if the school district thought it was an okay idea if we could email instead of having to confront face to face about issues to our higher up.
Oh yeah, that's no issue at all. And then I feel like also with a lot of the older members retiring and leaving the school and us getting these other teachers involved, we won't really have as much of that issue anymore. And we can make, as I said, we're going to make department heads. So it'll be pretty much the department head, and then the department head will be to us.
Oh, okay, alrighty. That should fix that issue. And hopefully the new teachers are up on with the other teachers and agree with them, so we don't have problems. Because we're some of the older teachers, and they're if we didn't do very well on this negotiation or this new contract, that they weren't going to be too happy. We're getting on the. Do you guys have any other issues you would like to discuss with us? Do you have any ideas of how we could actually make our score numbers go up or anything to entice the teachers? Maybe, I don't know what you guys were thinking there.
All right, just give me 1 second here so I can keep going through my little notes. Make sure I have all this written down.
But yeah, regarding increasing classroom performance, I would suggest just kind of make things more hands-on and interesting, so the students are more interested in learning instead of like in history class, it's just lecture, 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 boring stuff. You don't really care. But if you find a way to make the subject exciting, then the students will actually be excited to learn and look forward to it and try harder.
Okay. Have you ever thought about having I know like every 2 years you get a 2% increase or something. Like the highest teacher gets an extra 2%, like the highest score. I don't know. That's just an idea that maybe we can talk about next contract as well. But I was just trying to brainstorm ideas before we get there.
Yeah, but in regards to this year's contract, I don't believe that we have anything that we need to address from our end.
Okay.
If I'm correct, Ben?
Yeah, our biggest concern was just cutting the lunch and prep time from 60 minutes to 30 minutes. So,
And I feel like since you guys gave on the other, we got a little increase, which was really nice to meet the cost of living that had increased for us. And so we could take there where we could work a little harder throughout the day, but not have to spend longer there.
Yeah.
I think I'm good on my end as long as
covers everything that I have.
I would third that from my end.
I'll fourth that.
Do we run through everything, like everything we've discussed, or?
I think we should, just to make sure we are all on the same page.
Okay.
Who wants to read off a quick summary?
Okay.
I think your end should, since you are the ones writing the contract.
Alright. So we will be hiring 9 less teachers, but all the teachers that we'll be hiring will be at cumulative level 7. The prep time lunch will be cut 30 minutes. This will be a 1-year contract, with us also introducing in all of our board meetings the idea of a sabbatical policy.
5% increase in pay.
The 5% increase in pay. Talking to all of the heads of the departments to get a inventory sketch so I can find out the adequate materials that we would need, and the email communication, which should be solved as well.
I think we solved a lot of problems. Both of us came out on the positive end, stayed under budget, so I think that looks good.
Yep.
All right.
All in all, well, I guess we're glad to re-sign a contract with you guys, and looking forward to seeing you guys again next year.
All right,
Great.
thanks.
Good negotiation, William.